And welcome back once again. John Schwarz alongside me, Nate Wahner.
Good to be here, John.
Pleasure as always. Men's 5K coming up. 19 competitors in this year's 5K. David O'Gara from Wash U. Bennett Shaw from Emory. Peter Johnsrud of Wash U. Luis Torres of Emory. Joe Stover of Wash U. Liam Garvey of Brandeis. Brandon Shirazi of NYU, Kevin Corey of Carnegie Mellon, Mitchell Hutton of Brandeis, Andrew Green of Case Western Reserve, Jordan Reyes of NYU, David Hall of Case Western Reserve, Ralph Padahunis of Chicago, Jack Whetstone of Emory, Max Mudd of NYU, Jacob Halasowski of Carnegie Mellon, Andrew Cates of Chicago, Sam Merriman of Case Western Reserve, and Naveen Pai of Carnegie Mellon rounding out the field. And we're off. Final individual race of the day, the men's 5K. Top seeded time belongs to Peter Johnsrud of Washington University, 15:01.82.
That ranks him 36th in the nation right now, going into this weekend.
We'll see if he can improve on that here.
I would expect this to be a very fast race overall.
And it looks like that's David O'Gara in the early lead,
followed by Sam Merriman and David Hall.
David Hall, the sophomore from Case Western Reserve, trying to push the pace early. Again, you don't know what different runners have in their minds for this weekend. A lot of them will attempt at least to double up. Again, some might be aiming for a big performance here. Some might be trying to save some for the 3K tomorrow. Right now, the top two starting to separate themselves. That is O'Gara and Merriman. Kevin Corey of Carnegie Mellon sitting in third, leading a large pack behind him.
Yeah, that's Kevin Corey and Peter Johnsrud in third and fourth.
Corey has moved up, starting to approach Merriman in second a little bit more. That's still a very tight group, but Corey looks like he's about ready to make a move.
Yeah, O'Gara and Corey are only entered in the 5K this weekend.
Then the rest of the pack has caught up with the front few. O'Gara, Merriman, Corey, Johnsrud, and a slew of others following closely behind. About 3:11. Getting the same group and struggling to get any separation here.
Yeah, it looks like most of the groups come back together. All the little separations that have closed back down.
Seems like everybody content right now to just let it run out like this. Stay where you are, let the pack separate itself eventually and make passing a little bit easier. In the meantime, it just becomes a game of hanging around as long as you can. Let O'Gara set the pace in the early going. Corey and Merriman have faced each other a few times this season already. Certainly know each other's style, and it seems like Corey right now content to hang behind Merriman in the event. Merriman starting to, looks like on those straightaways, move a little bit to the outside. Looks like he's thinking about possibly making a move here on O'Gara. You can see Merriman pushing the pace. And I think that's created a little separation. Not much, though. O'Gara, Merriman, Corey, Johnsrud. Your top four. Still the same two up front. Merriman. And he will pass O'Gara and take the lead for the first time today. Those two really escalating the pace here.
Yeah, you could see O'Gara as soon as Merriman came around him. He picked up his turnover just a little bit to go with him. That's Brandon Shirazi of NYU that's in 5th right now, just behind Corey of Carnegie Mellon.
NYU, another really talented distance program, good cross-country team. Merriman the leader. I think safe to say the largest lead we've seen anybody take so far in the race so far today. Merriman opening it up here. Lots of time left in this one, though.
This is similar to the move Merriman made last year at the outdoor conference meet. He, sat with the group for a little while, and then he made his move and separated to run away and win it. Oh. That's another common thing that happens in the UAA. Is somebody usually has to be bold enough to go for it, and once you start to open it up, it gets hard to close down.
Merriman trying to do it here on his home track. Parents in attendance. I believe his grandparents here in attendance today. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe his father is standing kind of right opposite us here. And he continues. O'Gara's still in 2nd. Looks like Johnsrud has moved into 3rd. The The lead continuing to expand for Sam Merriman.
This is Naveen Pai, who's moved into fourth here, just ahead of Shirazi.
And Corey fading a little. Be about 9:30 for Merriman.
He's got about a 25-meter gap going right now.
He has really created some distance here. Merriman crosses. Just over 10 minutes gone by.
It's got to be about 35, maybe 40 meters now. He's really opening it up.
Merriman was third in the UAA in the 5K last year, an all UAA finisher. Now trying to take home the conference championship. Merriman fifth in the 3K. And he will likely run that again. Prompted on by head coach Kathy Lanise. Tells him to go. O'Gara's still in second. Johnsrud still in third, but closely pursued.
Yeah, that's Naveen Pai of Carnegie Mellon that's in there.
And he's trying to make a move on at second. Staved off by the duo of WashU runners. Merriman along the outside will lap a couple of competitors. Back to the inside.
That's Luis Torres of Emory here at the back of the second group.
He's come on strong.
Corey made a move around Shirazi there. But Merriman's opened up just a huge gap. It's got to be 50 meters, maybe more.
It looks like it might be Merriman's race to lose here at the 11:50 mark as he crosses his future finish line. But a dominating performance from Merriman thus far.
He's continuing to open it up here.
Conference record 14:41.88.
Johnsrud started to make a move too. But Merriman's already now, he's made it more than a straightaway away. It's probably a little more than a curve as well.
And even though Johnsrud is making a move, I'm not sure he's gaining on Merriman at all. Just a tenacious pace for the Spartan senior.
This is one of the great parts about the indoor 5K for these athletes is as you start to lap people, you can gain a little motivation from that, you know. You can choose the next person to go after, you know, like, all right, you get one, you go after the next. Which can be a little bit more difficult outdoors because it's hard sometimes when you get out there alone. You're running for a while just, you know, by yourself, and you have to keep that motivation going.
Merriman coming across, I believe the bell lap coming up. Might have one more before that. Yeah,
I think there's 2 to go here. But yeah, he's still opening up that gap, it seems, and you have to start to think when is it going to be too far to come to like close that down.
Question now for Merriman, too, is this a run that potentially gets him in line for a spot at Nationals? And there's the bell lap. Hits it at 14:14. We need to pick up the pace to the conference record. But boy, he can put up an impressive time here today.
He's got 100 meters to go now.
And Merriman down the straightaway, your 2018 UAA champion in the men's 5K.
6.
Just off the UAA record time, barely.
Yeah, and he ran most of that by himself, too, there in the second half of that race.
Unofficially, that will put him 29th in the country in the 5K.
Shirazi outleans Corey there right at the line.
So the Merriman in first. Johnsrud 14:58.12 in second. O'Gara third. Torres from Emory, followed by Shirazi, and then Corey from Carnegie Mellon.
Impressive run by Andrew Green and David Hall there. They were towards the back about halfway through, and they moved up into 8th and 9th. Which, if you think outdoors, those are scoring positions. So those are impressive moves. And
again, a nice job there. Last finisher comes across. And we are now, looks like about 10 minutes away from the start of the distance medley relay. Then another interesting approach here, because probably some of your best distance runners, again, you're looking at the 5K and the 3K, doubling up here, but, certainly some of your better distance runners are probably running, in this event. So those aren't people that you can use in the DMR. Now, the DMR, probably the distance portion of that is a little deceiving. It's a little bit more mid-distance of an event than distance, with the mile being the longest race. But again, your options a little bit limited, because a lot of those options have already been used. As you take a look at Sam Merriman there, shielded behind a few people, but certainly getting some well-earned congratulations. You can see the mop of hair in the middle. There he is.
But yeah, as you were saying, the DMR is tough, because you're going to want to save people for the 800, the mile tomorrow, and the 5K today. You're going to have some good milers in this 5K, and as a coach, you're going to have to decide, do you want to run them here? Do you want to run them in the DMR? Because you might want to run your top miler in the 12 leg to set up your other legs to be competitive. Because that's a very difficult race. You got to have either two very good 800 runners, two good mile runners, because you got to have somebody that's going to be able to run the 12 for you. So it just adds a new element, whereas the 4x8's like you got to have 4 great 800 runners. The 4x4, you got to have 4 guys that can run a good 400. For the DMR, you got to have a diverse group. You got to have people that are versatile to either move up or move down to run that 12.
Again, as you said, a well-rounded team. Ben Whitman, another senior there, talking with Merriman. Well, again, probably about 8 minutes or so away from the DMR. We'll take a quick break here. Be back with you for the start of that race in just a few minutes. Back with you here for our final two events of the day, the men's and women's distance medley relay, another scored event here at the 2018 UAA Championships. So we get set to conclude day one. Day two tomorrow will begin with the long jump at 9 a.m. bright and early. If you looked at an early schedule of the event, of the meet, you might not have seen that they moved that up. But yes, the long jump is going to start at 9 o'clock in order to potentially avoid some conflicts on the track. Again, welcome if you're just joining us. Hopefully you're enjoying the broadcast. We're, again, pleased to bring it to you here.
So if Brandeis runs their women's DMR that they have on paper, it will be Julia Bryson to Elizabeth Valdez to Lainey Valdez to Emily Bryson.
Correct. 2 sets of twins.
2 sets of twins on one relay. Might be a first. Haven't seen that before.
I have not either. Would make for an interesting little tidbit. And by the way, thank you to Adam Levin, SID over at Brandeis, for sending that our way. Well, DMR, last event of the day. We will have awards coming up after this, and we invite you to listen in to those. We'll have coverage of that.
Brandeis has a top 15 relay time of 11:57.84 with the lineup that we just announced.
Well, you can't just be gimmicky. You got to be good, too.
WashU and Case Western are 38th and 39th times in the nation with a 12:35 and a 12:36.
And again, we'll see who ends up running this. It is the 12. What are we at? 12-4. What? Give me the correct distances here, Nate, because I'm blanking on it.
Starts out with a 1,200 meter.
Oh, I was right.
A 400 meter, then an 800 meter, and then they're going to close it out on a mile or 1,600 meter leg.
Emery on the inside. That's Sam Branson on the first leg. Pardon me. Excuse me. Emery on the inside. That's Meredith Hughes. Julia Bryson for Brandeis. Rose Cirillo for Carnegie Mellon. Audrey Western for WashU. Vanessa Pasadin for Case Western Reserve. Maddie DeVoe for Chicago. And Isabella Steens for NYU. Carnegie with the early lead, WashU pushing as well, and in fact around the turn it will be WashU's keep looking at the wrong one. WashU's Audrey Western who comes around for the lead. I'm folding this over so I stop looking at the men's names instead of the women's. Fold. I'm good to go now. Western followed by Bryson for Brandeis. And third, Chicago's DeVoe. Case Western Reserve, Carnegie Mellon. NYU and Emory following. Order stays the same. WashU, Brandeis, Chicago. Case Western Reserve, NYU moves ahead of Carnegie Mellon, and then Emory trailing. Still the same order through the 12. 2 laps to go. Washington and Brandeis opening up a little bit more of a lead. The Chicago's still in third. Case Western Reserve, NYU, Carnegie Mellon, and Emory. Exchange lap coming up. And Wash U will turn it over first, it appears, on the inside lane at least. Brandeis on the outside. Now Chicago. Case Western Reserve, NYU. Will be Carnegie and then Emory. Second runners, it's Anna Casio doing the 400 for Wash U. For Brandeis, Lisbeth Valdez. For Chicago, Olivia Cattau. For Case Western Reserve, ML Kloster. NYU, Justina Sanders-Schifano. Debrati Banja for Carnegie Mellon and Ari Newhouse for Emory. 2 laps around. Here comes the exchange. Brandeis taking the lead. And the handoff, Valdez to Valdez. For Washington University, Casio hands off to Annalise Wagner. Chicago, it's Cateau to Katie Jaminski.
Annalise Wagner just made a really smooth move right around Valdez.
We saw how effective Wagner was earlier in the mid-distance.
She looks very relaxed and very smooth right now.
One lap down. Valdez keeping pace with Wagner. For Case Western Reserve, it's Shahid Eid. For NYU, Ireland Gibson. For Carnegie Mellon, Sarah Cook. And for Emory, Kayla O'Shea.
Annalise Wagner starting to open up a gap over there.
She's certainly capable and has really done well so far here in the 1,000. She'll run in the finals of the 8 tomorrow as she laps the runner from Emory.
Seems like she's still got a lot left in the tank here to finish this one off.
She just looks like she's moving at a different speed from everyone else right now. Here comes the handoff for the mile. Taking over for Wash U, Abigail Martin. For Brandeis, Emily Bryson. For Chicago, Emma Dyer. For Case Western Reserve, it'll be Issa Torres-Payton. NYU actually got in there ahead. That's Noella Franco, as did Carnegie Mellon, Catherine Riley.
That was a nice leg by Sarah Cook to close the gap for Carnegie Mellon.
And last but not least, Ileana Zeisner for Emory. Mile lap underway.
You have Emily Bryson of Brandeis chasing Abigail Martin of Wash U for first and second. They're coming onto the home stretch now.
And Bryson making up some ground. Wagner had opened up a little bit of a lead for the Bears, but all of a sudden Bryson really gaining ground. This is anybody's race for first. Chicago in third, and then the pack of 4, 5, and 6 behind them. Competing for points here. And Bryson has now taken the lead for Brandeis. Emily Bryson moves past Abigail Martin.
Brandeis and Wash U've got probably a 60, 70 meter lead over Chicago here, who's in third. And they've got another 30, 40 meters till Carnegie, NYU, and Case.
And it seems like those positions are headed pretty steadily here. No one really gaining or losing any ground at this point. Leaders coming across the start line again. There's Chicago in third. And then our next group, Torres Payton making up a little bit of space for a Case Western reserve. Bryson staying a step out in front.
Yeah, Bryson and Martin here just seem like they're comfortable sitting here waiting for it to come down to the kick. Neither one has really made a move to create any separation.
Always thought when you get to this part of the race, you know whether you have that kick in you or not at this point. As Torres Payton moves ahead and into 5th place.
Yeah, she's chasing NYU there.
Bell lap, Bryson takes off. And she begins to pull away. And it looks like Bryson will be able to deliver a UAA championship for Brandeis. Yeah, Bryson had something left, all right. Bryson with the win for Brandeis. Martin crosses the line, second for Wash U.
NYU and Case have a great race going back here for 4th place.
And Torres Payton has moved out ahead for 4th place. Good, strong finish for Torres Payton. Can she hold on across the final turn? Meanwhile, coming across in 3rd will be Chicago. The Emory runner who will finish in between, still with 1 more lap to go. Torres Payton down the home stretch. And she will hold off the competition. And the Spartans finished 4th. Carnegie Mellon 5th. A good burst at the end there. 6th place, NYU. And Emory with a lap to go will take 7th.
11:57 unadjusted will certainly boost Brandeis up even further.
11:57.19 the time for Brandeis.
And Wash U will be boosted up here as well.
12 12:38. 12:0038 for Wash U. Chicago,
Yep.
12:23:05.
Brandeis will probably be in a top 6 position, and Wash U will probably be top 10. So it looks to be about an 8-second adjustment from this flat track to a bank track.
And that will bring us into our final race of the day, the men's DMR. We shall see where everyone stands after this one. Well, Nate, any observations, any thoughts on the first day of competition here? Things that you've seen that have stood out?
I think we're set up for a great second day. A lot of really fast finals, a lot of tightly packed finals too. And from the 60 all the way up to the 800, there's a lot of people tightly grouped together, which is, what you want to see. As a spectator, you want to see those because you want to, see some great races tomorrow. You want to see some competitive races where nobody's spot's really safe.
Early contenders for Conference Runner of the Year. I think certainly you have to look at Irie Gord.
Yeah, I think on the men's side, you got to look at Irie Gord. If he can come out here and do what he wants to do tomorrow. If somebody can pull off the 5K, 3K double, I think that's one that deserves a lot of admiration because that's a very, very difficult one.
And potentially opens up the door for Merriman on his home track to potentially pull that one.
And you also have to see what happens tomorrow. If somebody goes out there and lays down a just crazy time that puts them way up there at nationals, that's usually something that'll gain a lot of admiration from other coaches. So I think for early runners, you got Irie Gord, Sam Merriman could be one of them. Peter Johnsrud, because when you run a great 5K, if you can come back and run a great 3K too, that'll vault you up there.
Plenty of options.
And then you've always got the DMR here. If somebody runs great finishing leg to win it, that is definitely something that can vault them into the conversation as well. As you saw last year with Owen Norley indoors, he ran a great DMR leg, great mile the next day, and came back for that 4x4.
So our opening leg of the DMR for the men are out there, the 1,200 meter. For Brandeis, Harper, Polio, Barbie. Malcolm Montalis for NYU. It's a long And that's actually not who that is out there. Let's see. It looks like 283. We'll have to double check. They may have made a late switch. Liam Walsh for Carnegie Mellon. It'll be Sam Branson for Emory. Marco Quaroni for Wash U. James Gibson for Case Western Reserve. And Kyan Tavangar for Chicago. And they are off. Final race of the day.
Yeah, in this race, you could very well see two teams jump up into that top 12 DMR time in the nation. Great chance for some really fast races and some good competition today. You know, this event is where you really see the depth of the UAA come out and how great some of these teams are coming out of cross country. You know, you'll see at least half of them go to the cross country national meet, and this is where you see that depth really show.
For sure. And probably a chance for you to get some runners involved in the meet as well that, you know, maybe would have struggled on an individual level, but again, when you talk about that depth, this is the race for them. Wash U out in front early.
Yeah, you can expect this leg of the DMR to come in right around 3 flat. This is a tough leg. You got to have somebody that can run probably about 425, 420 in the mile and close to 2 flat to keep up with the top guys on this leg. 'Cause it's only going to get faster too as this race goes on. Just came through at about 2:01.
Quaroni still with the lead. Move along the inside now. And boy, jumping out in front, I believe that was NYU.
Yeah, WashU really left the door open there for NYU to move right through the middle.
You don't see a pass like that a lot, but dominating performance here for NYU.
I think they came through there at about 228, 229.
We get the handoff here.
So that NYU kid split probably about a 28 there on that, 28, 29 on that, you know, second lap to the close.
Here's the exchange. And for NYU, Julian Montelis takes over. Isaac Mills for Carnegie Mellon running in second. For WashU, Michael Billington. Boy, they are really moving on this 4.
Isaac Mills is a great 400-meter runner as well as 800.
Montelis with the lead.
You can expect to see Isaac make a move right here on this second lap.
Chicago, Emory, Case Western Reserve following. For Chicago, that's Benjamin Chainberg. For Emory, Alex Rand. Case Western Reserve, Jonathan Haling. Brandeis with Patrick Quinlan on the track. Here's the exchange to the 1,000. Pardon me, the 8, right?
Yeah, through the 800 here.
Pardon me. And for NYU taking over is Vincent Booth.
Yeah, and he ran in the 800 prelim earlier. So a lot of these guys are doubling back from the 800, either running the 4 or the 8.
We'll see Liam Walsh running the 8 here for Carnegie Mellon. Chris Blagg for WashU. For Chicago, Jacob Amiri. And it's Emory's Robert Wilhelm. Nick Norris for Case Western Reserve. And for Brandeis, Jacob Judd. NYU continuing to lead, Carnegie making up a little distance. Chicago trying to move into third. It's Emory and Case Western Reserve. Brandeis still trailing. So you look at the DMR and that last lap. Now, a lot of names we haven't seen yet. Names we'll probably see in the mile tomorrow.
Nick Matucci of WashU was the runner-up last year to Owen Norley in the mile, so he's the guy to look for. Evan Yukovic of Carnegie Mellon runs a really nice mile too.
Max Brown, a veteran runner from Emory, good miler. We've seen him for many years. And
yeah, he's a consistent national qualifier in that mile.
The exchange lap, final exchange of the day. And Carnegie Mellon will exchange with the lead. It's Evan Yukovic for the Tardans. For NYU, Neil Sadler.
Then Brandeis has Ryan Stender running the mile leg here. We'll see him tomorrow on the 3K. He's a very, very quality distance runner out for Brandeis.
Ryan Cutter in third for Chicago. He's looking to make a move. Nick Matucci has WashU in fourth right now. Aiden DeSanto moves into fifth for the Spartans. There's Max Brown for Emory sitting in sixth. And in seventh is Brandeis and Ryan Stender.
So the two I would be worried about here letting get back in the race would be Nick Matucci and Max Brown. Those two are excellent milers. Definitely on like the national level of qualifying to the national meet in 2 weeks.
Matucci's starting to make a move. He's getting back up with the front pack here. And still the order remains the same at front, Carnegie Mellon. But here comes Matucci, and he has moved into second ahead of NYU. Neil Sadler of NYU has fallen behind Matucci, and Matucci's starting to make a move on first. In fourth is Chicago. Fifth, Case Western Reserve, but Max Brown starting to move up from sixth against Aiden DeSanto. Stender for Brandeis, bringing up the rear. As they come around, it remains Carnegie Mellon in the lead. Evan Yukovic, but pressure behind him. Matucci. Sadler. Cutter for Chicago. Brown moves into fifth. DeSanto in sixth. Looks like the front three, though, have solidified their positions. It's just a question of who finishes where.
Max Brown's starting to move up, too. He could easily overtake fourth here.
Well, that front group has slowed down a little bit, and Brown seems to be speeding up.
Again, he's somebody I would not want to let get back in the mix up there.
And they are very close to letting him into the mix. Brown is making up a lot of ground. Still the same three up front, though. Although it looks like Matucci will make his move on the stretch here. He does. Matucci. Now Sadler in second. Sliding back to third is Carnegie Mellon. Brown in fourth for Emory. Then Chicago, Case Western Reserve, and Brandeis. Brown continuing to move. He'll get a little bit closer on this lap, but is there enough time left for him to get back up into that top three?
Jukovic is moving right back up. He looks like he might have something left in the tank.
And we'll get a couple more positions here as NYU takes the lead on the bell lap. It's Sadler who's jumped out in front. Matucci, then Jukovic. Brown in fourth. Aiden DeSanto moves into fifth ahead of Chicago's Ryan Cutter. Down the stretch lap, it's Sadler for NYU, who seems to be in good position.
It's going to come down right to the line, I think, here.
Sadler, Matucci trying to move around him, but Sadler will hold him off as he extends his arms in celebration. Matucci in second, Carnegie Mellon and Jukovic in third. Emory with Max Brown takes fourth, Aiden DeSanto in fifth for Case Western Reserve. Crossing the line sixth will be Ryan Cutter. And the final finisher will be Brandeis and Ryan Stender. Well, Nate, a pretty good finish to the day today.
Yeah, I mean, just looking here, you got to look at Emory. That's a huge gap that they made up from just on Max Brown on that last leg.
And important points for a team that's going to have a number of athletes coming back in the next day to compete tomorrow in the finals. So should be exciting. We will have our award ceremony coming up here in just a few minutes. And we will continue to broadcast as we bring you those awards in just a little bit. But for now, we'll sign off here. We'll see tomorrow. Nate, you'll be back on. Brendan Gulick will be joining you. Brendan will be doing the national championships down in Birmingham, Alabama next month. So should be good. I'll sign off for now. But, hopefully you guys can continue with the high standard I left you with today.
We can try.
Okay. Good job, Nate. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. Thank you very much. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Once again, awards coming up here. We'll present those to you in just a little bit, so stay with us.
All sorry that I just like yelled at you about that shit.
In third place, Michelle Cartman, Carnegie Mellon University. In second place, Heidi Nansos, Washington University. And in first place, with a walk of 12 feet, 4.5 inches, Julia Panama, Washington University. Ladies and gentlemen, your Polo champions. Our next event is the women's 5,000-meter run. In third place, Aparna Alamili of Carnegie Mellon University.
So the top 12 that will
In second place, Danielle Hopkins, East Western Reserve University.
So he's going back for his fourth one this weekend.
And in first place with a time of 17 minutes, 40.42 seconds, Paige Wahner of Washington University. Ladies and gentlemen, your 5,000 ends. Our next event is the men's 5,000-meter run. In third place, David O'Meara, Washington University. In second place, Peter Johnsrud, Washington University. And in first place with a time of 14 minutes, 46.28 seconds, Sam Merriman, East Western University. Ladies and gentlemen, your men's 5,000-meter champions.
Every time I do this for you, it's something.
Our next event is the women's distance medley final. In third place, Maddie DeVoe, Katie Jasminski, Olivia Campbell, and Emma Dyer of the University of Chicago. In second place, the team of Audrey Wester, Emily Swagner, Anna Cosio, and Angelo Martin of Washington University. And in first place, the team of Julia Bryson, Elizabeth Valdez, Lady Valdez, and Emily Bryson of Brandeis University with a time of 11 minutes, 57.19 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, your women's distance medley champions.
It's funny because I think I've stopped saying that. And then like 3 months later, 6 months later.
And that is so
And our final event of the day, the men's distance medley. In third place, the team of Liam Walsh, Arthur Benson-Zuski, Isaac Bills, and Eamon Yukovich from Carnegie Mellon. The team of Rob This is